Synopsis of the play Othello. The first scene of the play takes place in Venice, a great city-state known throughout history as a center of trade and banking as well as for its military force. It is in the early hours of the morning, and two men, Rodrigo, a young gentleman and former suitor of Senator Brabantio's daughter Desdemona, and Iago, a military officer who claims to have been turned over for advancement by Othello, are outside Senator Brabantio's house to tell him the news of his daughter's elopement with Othello the Moor. Iago, who is sneaky and out for revenge, tells Rodrigo about the secret marriage in a way that is meant to scare him. Iago then leaves quickly, leaving Rodrigo to check if what he said was true. Iago then goes to meet with Othello, pretending to be his friend and concerned about him, and tells Othello about Brabantio's reaction. Othello, Brabantio, and Desdemona make an appearance in front of the Duke of Venice. Othello argues that he gained Desdemona by recounting his exploits to her, and Desdemona, when asked to give evidence, convinces the senators that she has voluntarily gone with Othello and married him for love. Although Brabantio accuses Othello of seducing his daughter through witchcraft, Othello explains that he won Desdemona by telling her about his adventures. Othello is given the position of General of the Defense Forces against the Turks by the Duke, and he is required to depart for Cyprus as soon as possible. Desdemona makes a formal appeal to be allowed to travel to Cyprus with Othello. Othello, with the approval of the Duke, makes the arrangement for Desdemona to join him later in another ship along with Iago, whom he erroneously believes to be his close companion, and Emilia, who is Iago's wife. Iago succeeds in persuading Rodrigo that Desdemona will grow weary of Othello in the near future and that he should move to Cyprus with her. Iago comes to the conclusion that the best way to get rid of Othello is to employ Cassio, the man he has a profound grudge against, because Cassio was given the promotion that Iago had been interested in for himself. Iago comes with a plan to get rid of Othello in Cyprus. He starts to doubt Desdemona's loyalty and points the finger of suspicion at Cassio as her lover. Iago sets up a fight between Cassio and Rodrigo with the help of Rodrigo, which leads to Cassio being demoted. Cassio, with Iago's guidance, organizes a secret meeting with Desdemona. During this conversation, Desdemona vows to speak in Cassio's favor to Othello until his reconciliation with him is achieved. Cassio believes that his prospect of reinstatement in his former position are better if he has Desdemona argue his cause to her husband. Desdemona's husband is Othello. Iago and Othello arrive there just as Cassio is about to leave. Othello is the one who takes notice of Cassio's hasty exit, and Iago immediately seizes the chance to point out to Othello that Cassio appears to be attempting to avoid the Moor. Desdemona promptly and excitedly begins to ask Othello to pardon Cassio, as she promised, and she will not cease her begging until Othello, concerned with other thoughts, accepts. However, as soon as Desdemona and Emilia leave, Iago starts sowing the seeds of skepticism and suspicion in Othello's mind. Othello is full of doubt and worry, so he eventually asks Iago for proof that Desdemona has been cheating on him. Iago is able to convince Othello that Desdemona has been unfaithful by using a handkerchief that Desdemona later loses. Iago also creates a dialogue with Cassio that thoroughly hardens the Moor's anger against his wife and her imagined lover. Othello, furious and heartbroken by his wife's betrayal, jumps into action, making a deal with Iago that he will kill Desdemona and Iago will get rid of Cassio. Othello is convinced that his wife betrayed him and he is angry and heartbroken. Desdemona sticks to her promise to Cassio and keeps pleading for him, which, unbeknownst to her, shows Othello that she has been unfaithful. Desdemona, who has no idea what she has done to make him angry, can only reassure him that she loves him despite the fact that he accuses her of being dishonest. In the meantime, Rodrigo has given up on getting back together with Desdemona, but Iago tells him to kill Cassio to get his hopes back up. In the late hours of that same day, they ambush Cassio in the middle of the road, but it is Cassio himself who wounds Rodrigo. Iago makes a dash for it and ends up stabbing Cassio in the leg. After hearing Cassio's calls for assistance, Othello assumes that the first part of his revenge has been carried out and rushes to finish what he has started. When Othello arrives, Desdemona is already asleep in her bed. Because he does not want to take her soul, he encourages her to pray one more time before she dies. Desdemona, upon realizing that he intends to kill her, vehemently asserts that she is innocent of any guilt. She begs him to allow her to live just a little longer, despite the fact that she is aware that he does not believe her, but he suffocates her with a pillow instead. After Emilia, Iago's wife and Desdemona's servant, uncovers the scheme, she alerts Montano and Graziano and calls Iago a liar in front of them. Iago stabs her after she refuses to keep quiet, after he tells how Desdemona's handkerchief ended up in Cassio's possession. Emilia's account is validated by Cassio, who was injured. Othello, a soldier until the very end, bases his life on his honor. He is aware that this is the end, and so he makes a final request to be known as one who loved not wisely but too well. After that, he stabs himself in the chest and then collapses onto the bed next to his wife, where he eventually passes away.